Good morning, Meridian, and welcome to Business Buzz. Today I'm joined by Wesley Ferrel, owner of Western Foothills Construction. Wesley,
Hey,
thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome. So Wesley, we always like to, find out a little bit about our chamber members and share it with our community. How and why did you get into the construction business?
So I kind of got into it in a roundabout way. So right out of high school, came to Boise State, 2008 to 2012. Thought I wanted to work my way up through corporate America. Had visions of, suits and offices and decanters of scotch just at my beck and call. And turns out I don't like suits and I don't like offices, but I do like scotch. And so we were down in Arizona at the time. After graduating, we went to Arizona for, my wife's training, and she was wrapping up medical school, and she was, could see that I was unhappy with what I was doing, and kind of prompted me to, look at what I was doing. And she's like, have you thought about going back to school and doing construction management? And it was like light bulb. So got back into school and immediately started working in the industry. Started by, pushing a broom, packing lumber, doing full-time school, and working my way up to running work and eventually being a project manager and running multi-million-dollar jobs all up and down the I-5. And so when we finally settled back here, it was time to, venture out and, get it on my own and get back to the thing that I like so much, is like getting involved with the field and the build outs. So.
Well, that sounds like a great story. So what type of projects does Western Foothills do?
So we do commercial construction. That means anything that is not residential, so anything not single family. We'll do restaurant, retail, industrial, medical, dental, or even some multifamily remodels, so apartment remodels, condo remodels, stuff like that. But right now we're really geared up for tenant improvements and, some smaller ground up construction at this point.
Okay. So you mentioned tenant improvements, remodeling stuff. Do you do new construction?
Yeah. So we'll do that on a case by case basis. Since we're so small, we kind of got to take that, does it make sense now, or do we need to grow a little bit more before we can take that on? But right now it's mostly tenant improvements. So that's the remodel world of commercial.
Well, you've come up in the construction industry in a new era and things like that. What is Western Foothills' approach with managing and executing projects?
So the one thing that I've heard consistently, and it's an old, you hear it from everybody. Everybody's got a nightmare or a horror story from working with a contractor, and they feel like they've had the wool pulled over their eyes, or like they're being misled, so to speak. And I just try to be as transparent and honest as I can be. So if you've got an issue with a build out, because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an issue on a build out, especially in remodel. You don't know what's behind the wall until you open it.
Yeah.
So I try to address them head on, and then also I try to just provide as many options as I possibly can. So then the tenant, the owner, or whoever it is that I'm working with doesn't feel backed into a corner, and they're able to make the decision that works best for them and their build out. Because what works best for the contractor, what's easiest, you don't want to say that, but what's easiest may not be best for them, and that's for them to decide really. So I try to make it so, it's approachable, it's open, it's honest, and there's a lot of trust that's built through the process.
Okay. That sounds like, an answer to my next question, but I want to kind of throw it out there as well. What else do you feel like differentiates you from other construction companies in the Valley?
So right now, there's a lot of reputable builders, let's just say that. So great thing, very hard to compete with in a lot of ways. But right now, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one attention from me. It is me, my subcontractors, and labor force. And so there's a lot of one-on-one attention. There's a lot of accountability that goes along with that. I'm not going to be able to pass it on to somebody else and be like, oh, well, they handled it. Here's what I would have done. Everything comes back to me. So for the time being, that's probably my biggest differentiator is I'm small. I got the experience, but you get me. So
yeah. So commercial construction is your core there. What advice do you have for business owners that are looking to take on a new construction project, an expansion or a remodel of their business?
Okay, so a couple things really. State of Idaho, great place to live, great place to do business, but comically easy to become a contractor. So you need to be careful who you're working with. You need to make sure you trust them, and you need to make sure that the experience they say they have is, it's legitimate. Because if you got $50 and you can get insurance, congratulations, you're a contractor. It really doesn't take a whole lot. So, trust and, vetting who you're working with is incredibly important. The other thing is you want to engage a contractor and a design professional early and often in the process, because a lot of times constructability and the application of the design that's provided, there's going to be some, disconnects, let's say. There's going to be some disconnects, and having those conversations earlier in the process makes the build out a lot simpler and a lot easier in the long run.
It's going to be changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And calling a contractor and being like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, what do you think? Doesn't cost anything. Like 9 times out of 10, contractors going to be willing to have the conversation with you, do a job walk, things like that. And just having those conversations opens the door to questions you may not have thought of or anything like that up like early on in the process.
Great advice. Yeah, absolutely. So, Wesley, what's the best way for our viewers to learn more about Western Foothills or to be able to get in touch with you?
So you can reach us through our website. There's a chat function on there. You can reach us through my email or my phone number, and those are going to be the easiest ways to do it. We do have social media. There's not a whole lot there, but we're working on it, so keep an eye out for that. And that's really the best way to get to me.
Yeah, well, Wesley, thank you so much for
appreciate
joining
it.
us
Thank
today
you.
on Business Buzz, and we hope to see you out at some of the chamber events
Yep.
and networking events so you can get connected here in our community.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, excellent. Speaking of those events, chamber members, we've got a few coming up that you want to make sure you participate in. Our after hours for September is coming up September the 19th. It's being hosted by Kiln this month, so be sure and stop by for that event. Our next First Friday is going to be October 4th, and that is hosted by Rockbox Fitness. Be sure and come out and join us for that morning networking event. Both our networking events are free to members and guests. Come out and enjoy those. And then right after the first Friday in October, be sure and visit Downtown Meridian for Oktoberfest, October 5th. It's our 3rd year. We're expecting between 15 and 18,000 people down for that event. Until then, have a great weekend, Meridian.